welcome you and all to another episode of the Global Latin Factor podcast, where we talk about Latino everything. I'm your host, Crispin Valentin. Make sure you subscribe to the channel right now. Why? You have nothing to lose and so much to gain, like this amazing story about Bunz, Bunc, all the way from Rosenberg. And not to mention, he's also part of La Maquina, GT Garza coast. So you definitely want to check in this episode. He has an amazing story. He dropped so many amazing jewels, and you definitely are going to get inspired. And now to the episode. Bunz, what's up, my man? How you doing today?
How you doing, man?
Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
Big shout out going out to Mr. Never Die. He told me you were going to be in. You were looking for some places. So I'm like, man, I hope that
big shout out to Never Die for setting this up. Yeah,
absolutely. So we're able to make it work. So thank you so much.
Yes, sir.
So before we get started, I'd like to start off with a segment that I like to call Preguntas al Chile. Preguntas al Chile. Phone questions. You like this? You like that? Trying to kind of figure it out what you like. Are you ready?
Yes, sir.
Tacos o tortas?
Tacos.
Corn tortilla or flour tortilla?
Flour.
Gorditas o pupusas?
I tried papusa before.
Yeah. Jarritos, what flavor?
Red.
Red?
Yeah.
I think it's tutti frutti. I think that one is.
Yeah.
Agua de horchata, Jamaica, or tamarindo?
Jamaica.
I like the Jamaica. Salsa verde, salsa roja. Do you
Verde.
like spicy? Verde?
Yes.
Heck yeah. Menudo or pozole?
Menudo.
Valentina, Tapatio, Cholula, or Tabasco hot sauce?
Tabasco.
Churros or flan?
Churros.
When you just dropped the hardest part ever and you want to celebrate and you want to dance a little bit, you would like to get down to some cumbia, salsa, merengue.
Bobby Pulido.
Bobby Pulido, some Tejano.
Yeah,
bro,
like
I need to
Tejano.
put that in there.
And I don't speak Spanish very well, but I grew up on it. So sometimes I just like the vibe of it. I like to listen
Bro,
to it.
you feel it.
Yeah,
you
exactly.
feel the music. I don't know what he's saying, but it sounds romantic.
Exactly.
It sounds like something you need to feel.
Mm-hmm.
What is the best place to eat at Twin Cities or Rosenberg or Richmond? Which one?
Ooh, I guess it just depends on what you're trying to eat. They got some good steakhouses there, but I'm super plain, bro, on food. I'm super plain. I'm the type that'll go to like Texas Land and Cattle and just get a steak and baked potato.
Yeah.
Or I like my favorite things. I like Chili's. Shout out to Chili's.
Shout out to Chili's.
Yeah.
It's all good. It's all good. Hey, make sure you check out the Chili's over there. Okay?
Yes, sir.
What is when you hear the word Latino or Latina, does anything come to mind for you? Does it resonate? Do you mind? Like, what is the very first things that come to mind for you when you hear that word?
I just think it means like whenever I hear it, I just mean to me it's like we work together. So it's like a group. So when I hear Latino, somebody says that, it means kind of like I keep my ears open, like I want to help or see if there's anywhere we can help each other. You know what I mean? So
for sure.
That's what I first hear when I hear it.
Do you consider yourself Latino? Do you care if anybody names you or calls you
No,
Latino?
I don't really care about it. As far as like, I know I'm Hispanic. You know, I can't really trace. I have never done like a trace of my background to see how far, where in Mexico or any of my family come from.
Mm-hmm.
So, man, I'm brown, man. If you're brown, then I rep the same race as you are, you know.
Brown by honor, right?
Brown by honor, exactly.
All right, so let me touch up on that a little bit because I don't think it's ever been asked for you. I know you never done a DNA test or anything, but as far as your recollection of anything that you heard in your family, do you happen to know how many generations deep you have been here in Texas?
No, I don't know any of my family that's from Mexico. So I don't know my great-grandma or anybody like they're not from Mexico. My great-grandpa was more of Indian descent. So,
Native.
Yes, Native American descent. So I don't know how far that would go back. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure some of my family is from Mexico eventually. But
so as far as you know, every family member that you know, even to your grandparents from here,
yes,
has been here from
that I know.
Even when it was Mexico, maybe.
Maybe exactly.
That's pretty cool. So growing up, as far as I know, you mentioned before, you were the oldest of four.
Yes,
I feel the same way.
Yes,
I think a lot of our parents get to learn from us.
Exactly.
And our youngest never realize how much of that goes in us.
Exactly.
So if everything else trickles down, it's because of the things that they had to learn from us.
Mm-hmm.
How did that feel when you were growing up? Did you ever kind of sort of were the responsible one?
I was responsible for a lot of things in my family, but I have a lot of brothers. I have a sister, two sisters and a brother, and
bro, it's the same thing here, bro.
Yeah, they're very independent. They go along their way. So when we were coming up, I had to do some things and be the leader and my father wasn't there all the time, but I had to take that role sometimes. But as we got older, You know, everybody learned how to do for themselves. Kind of not like helpless at all. If they get in a situation, they figure it out, really quick. So,
What do you think that picked that up from? Was that something
my
from
mother,
you or your mom?
my mom, yeah,
Your
my
mom super
mom.
independent.
Yeah, my mom was, you know, the one that would getting jobs, had jobs her whole life, doing everything, extra shit to support us and doing stuff like that. So they got that from my mom, definitely. Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So going through, as I mentioned, you mentioned before on an interview, going through the separation, does that any of that stuff was something that kind of sort of, any emotions behind that at that time? Did you understand what was happening during that time?
With my personal separation or with my mom?
Your mom
and
and your
dad?
dad.
Yeah, I was the oldest, and so I knew what was going on. I knew what was happening. But the emotions kind of were like, I don't know, I guess they didn't last that long because I had the reality set in really quick for me. So I had to start focusing on my brothers, my sisters, my mom, the rent, the light. You know, I wasn't doing, my mom was doing all that by herself, but at the same time, I was the oldest trying to find my way and doing rap and getting into groups and different situations without nobody to tell me exactly how it was. I was learning that out. So that's probably the biggest effect that I had about them splitting up. I didn't have nobody to really like guide me in the situation. I've been there before. I had to do it all on my own. You know what I mean? Make my mistakes on my own and figure them out on my own and stuff like that.
Gotcha. So. Okay, so let's start with the music itself in general. I know that Nirvana was your favorite. Rock was
Metallica is my favorite.
Metallica.
Yes.
Metallica. I'm sorry about that.
I jam Nirvana, I jam Pearl Jam, all that, but Metallica is my favorite.
Metallica. My apologies. Yeah. And all that was something that you liked more. Who introduced you to that type of music?
Well, to my recollection, I had a family member named Carlos that we lived in West Texas, in Lubbock. When I was little, my great grandma stayed out there, and he played the guitar. So he played in his room Metallica. He would play the songs over in his room, and I guess maybe, I don't know, maybe I was one of the cooler cousins, or I was from Houston, or I was so he would allow me to sit in his room. He was the oldest, you know what I mean? So he didn't let nobody in there.
Just you.
But when he would let me in there, I would play Tecmo Bowl on Nintendo and just listen to him playing to the point where I would learn all the words. Because he didn't sing any words. He just played the guitar. So I would learn the words. Then by the time you knew it, I was a fan of, I don't play any instruments. My voice is my instrument. So I would be a super fan of how creative they were with the guitar, with the drums, with all kind of percussions, all kind of instruments. So yeah, so I became a huge fan of Metallica over the years of that.
So you think that was a little bit of the music bug that kind of started like exploring
that? And Michael Jackson.
Well, tell me about the Michael Jackson story. What happened?
I just love Mike. You know, he was just one of the first artists that I seen that was like up on stage by himself, didn't have a huge band with him, just kind of like controlled the crowd by himself. I love the music. I love the dancing. I love the videos. It was the most memorable videos on MTV were Michael Jackson's to me. You know, it was just, I had so many iconic moments, and I just wanted to be like Mike at one time, you know, not the basketball player. Yeah, exactly, yeah. Yeah, he just was cool to me, you know, when I was young. I like the song, I like Little Mike, I like Older Mike, you know, so it was somebody that I look up to. I had a cousin that used to be a little bit older than me. He kind of introduced me to it. So that made me like, oh man, what is this? And he was kind of younger at the time. So
you like the showmanship, the
like
show that he
and the creativity. I love that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, his voice was unique as well. Okay, so once you get that, who introduces you hip hop first, rap, as far as, because you're going from way different spectrums. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think I probably just came on a journey because I don't play any instruments and I can't sing, but I love the music so much. So I was trying to figure out how could I fit in. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then the more I was talking, the more I talked on camera, the more I said things, people would tell me that my voice was more unique. Right. Like I had a different, like a raspier voice, or they didn't expect the voice to come out of me, basically. You know what I mean? So then I started trying to figure out how can I make that an instrument, and just led me into being able to rap, you know, real gangster rap like Ice Cube and those guys, Tupac, my favorite artist, you know what I mean? Stuff like that. Plus, that rap was a way for me to like tell my story without singing or crying all over the beat. You know what I mean? Like telling you how hard I had, but telling you in a cool ass way. You know what I mean?
Yeah. One thing is figuring out that you want to get into rapping and doing it, and another thing is actually start practicing and actually get into battling. When did that come about?
Well, as far as battling, I just did battling because in my hood, when you were an artist, you just wanted to know how good you were. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So anytime there was a group of people rapping, then I would show up. Like I had to be there to rap. And that's kind of how I got my buzz off, or at least setting myself apart from the other artists, because they would go and they would hear me and they'd be like, man, no, this dude's another level from where we at. I practiced, man. I didn't try to, like, I heard everybody saying the same words a lot. They said the same things a lot, so I started reading a thesaurus so I wouldn't run out of words. You know what I mean? Find words that meant the same thing but just were different so I can rhyme different things. And so I guess that, taking that much time into the rhyme, would set me apart from everybody who was just wanted to rap when they got drunk or whatever.
Was anybody? Were you too much at times for some people?
Way
Like,
too
what
much.
the heck did he say?
Way too much. I
What
would
is he
go. I would go from
saying? It
crew to
rhymes.
crew. I would go from crew to crew. So there'd be 3 crews, and I would just keep rapping from guy to guy until nobody wanted to rap. You know? And I had plenty rap battles where they did like a 10 count.
Yeah.
Calling the next artist up. Excuse me. Calling
Mhm.
the next artist, and they would count down from 10. And if you didn't come, then you were marked out. And so there was people where I would rap and then nobody would come after. And then I would win. You know what I mean? So
You were scary at that time with some folks.
yeah, I think it was just because I was Hispanic and then I had a lot of words and like I was practicing, you know. I was actually practicing.
That's a great habit to have, a lot of words when you're rapping, right?
Exactly.
Instead of like sounding the same
thing.
Why you know, you said something that made me want to think about, why do we say that? I'm coming down, or what was that
It's
word?
a Houston thing.
It's a Houston thing?
Yeah. Because I think coming down to other people just means like, I'm fly now.
Yeah.
And maybe I was regular at first, but now I'm coming down. Now I'm fresh now. That's what that means. But
Yeah, okay.
after you hear it so many times,
Everybody and their mama on a
saying
freestyle.
And plus, I came up on a lot of
Yeah.
East Coast music.
Mm.
I love Houston culture, and some of my favorite artists are from Houston, but my favorite style was like East Coast. I like the wordplay. I like the bars. I like the beats more, East Coast beats,
Yeah.
than we had in Houston at the time. So.
Who was your favorite lyricist from New York or that area?
Tupac's my favorite artist, but maybe
He's from the East Coast
Yeah, he's from the East
originally.
Coast. Yeah, so but maybe not lyricist wise. I think maybe lyricist. I was a big fan of like Nas, Jadakiss,
Yeah.
Fabulous.
Yeah.
Those guys were like my level of. I used to love listening to them. Before I wrote music, I would listen to a lot of Jadakiss or a lot of DMX at one time.
Ooh,
for
DMX.
different reasons. You know what I mean? If I was trying to write an album that was lyrical, I listen to Fabulous, Nas, people like that. If I was trying to like make a statement, I would listen to DMX or Tupac or
Yeah.
things that really resonated in me. You know what I mean?
That's awesome.
So,
Let me touch up on DMX, but before that, I forgot to ask you, because you had a very interesting way of coming to the world. There was a particular thing that happened at the moment when you were born, right? There was like a hurricane.
there's a hurricane, yes.
Wow.
Hurricane
So tell me a little bit
Alicia.
of the story about that.
Well, you know, my mom we was in Galveston, so I was born in Galveston, but I was raised in Rosenberg.
Mhm.
But it was Hurricane Alicia was going on. My mom got stranded in Galveston.
Wow.
She went into labor and went to the only hospital that was open at the time, and you know, gave birth. And I came out during Hurricane Alicia was there. You know what I mean? So
you were gonna born somewhere else, but you know,
I ended up being there. Yes,
that's
yeah.
crazy.
So I kind of just look at like, you know, a storm kind of brought me in the world. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
a big hurricane. So, and I'm an islander. I was born there.
Yeah, that's pretty
So,
cool.
Yeah, it's pretty cool to say.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. You touched about on a podcast from Rosenberg, if I'm not mistaken. I think you know each other. They know each other. Not that long ago, about 4 years ago, you were on their podcast. But you were really getting into DMX, how impactful it was for you. Some of the lessons that he taught you as far as music and different things like that. Can you speak on that?
Well, I think just DMX just had a crazy way of attacking beats and telling stories and being lyrical all at the same time.
Yeah.
And plus, you know, my name's Bunz, so people used to be like, "Where'd you get your name from? How you get your name?" When my original name's Alex, people used to call me Al as short. Al kind of shortened up in the hood to Al Bundy
Mm-hmm.
from Married with Children.
Yep.
They shortened up to just Bundy, and then shortened up to Bunz
Mhm.
alone, just in the hood by itself. Everybody was just changing it on their own, and I wasn't even telling them. But then I seen the movie Belly, had DMX in it. His name was Bunz. So that kind of, oh yeah, this is cool now. You know what I mean? Because like, who wants to be called Bunz at the beginning? You know what I mean? It's kind of
Yeah.
like a lot of jokes people tell you on
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
But I was like, it's a hood name. You don't get to pick your a real nickname, you don't get to pick it. You know what I mean? The hood describes you as they describe you. And I just ran with it, man. And I was like, DMX was a guy that me and my friends used to listen to, freestyle to over his beats.
Right.
Yeah, so when people were jamming Jay-Z, I was jamming DMX type music, you know what I mean, at the same time. So
one of the most significant performances I've ever seen from a hip-hop artist is the one where he is in Woodstock, I think.
Yeah, and the crowd is like fucking packed.
Bro.
Yes.
I just listen to that part sometimes, just the performance for the energy part and how crazy it was in general. Talk about showsmanship, talking about somebody that, you know, just literally like the whole crowd is in it.
Yeah, you got to be able to captivate those people, man. They're ready. They're ready. And it seems pretty easy. It seemed pretty easy for him. He just had to come out. And that's how much of an impact he had. So that was great. Yeah, I love DMX.
I heard an interview from JC that he had to go at one time when they were all on tour. He had to go right behind him.
Yes, I seen that. Yeah, I seen that. And the dog, he did the dog bark and brought him out, and then he said a prayer at the end.
Bro,
yeah, I seen that.
How can you top that off? You know, you either have to bring it in and evolve your game, or you know, don't go behind him.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great problem to have, though. Somebody who opens up that great, the crowd's ready for you. You know what I mean? So
yeah, there was either I read it somewhere, I saw it somewhere, or maybe I'm making that up in my mind. Or maybe I was in a different dimension. Your name is significance to something else? Did it have a meaning at all?
No, it don't have a meaning. It's just Bunz. It just got shortened down from all the things that I said just prior. It's just a shortened word from Bundy down to Bunz. They just shortened it down to 4 letters. My first name is 4 letters, Alex, so they just shortened my nickname down to 4 letters. And it just stuck with me, you know what I mean? That's and I just ran with it. Ever since then, I just decided I was going to make this cool.
Okay, so now you're doing, when do you first decide to record something that you were able to, you know, put your telephone number and be able to pass them out or sell them out?
That might have been like maybe 05, 04. I started freestyling in 95. Just freestyling from hearing the Screwed Up Click and just hearing those tapes and just wanting to do that. We would all freestyle. But then I started taking it serious, and then maybe like 03, 04, I started going to my homeboy Charlie Boy's house. Shout out to Charlie Boy. When we would just steal beats offline. Everybody who had instrumentals, I would find them as much as he could. He was one of those guys that would be on the computer all the time. So he would find the beats for me. I'd rap to him. I started realizing that I was a little bit more advanced than the other people that were rapping. So I decided to just make a CD with like 5 or 6 of songs with just me rapping and just write my name on top of it with a marker and just start passing them out.
So you was use beats, kind of like a mixtape type.
Exactly, a mixtape.
Okay, mixtape.
We just went online and just found instrumentals from other songs.
Nice.
And then I just wrote to them. Basically freestyle. A lot of them didn't even have hooks. It was just me showcasing that I could rap because nobody really knew I could. And then I put like 100 CDs together. Just wrote my name. I couldn't even afford to get them a
press,
cover or none of
nothing.
that.
No graphics.
We just burned them with
the sleeve still.
Exactly, in the computer, one at a time, just burning them. You know, off LimeWire. We took the beats off LimeWire. Shout out to LimeWire. Back then, you know what I mean? Yeah. So then I passed that shit out, man, and everybody was like, who's this? It was good. People liked it. And that's how I met Mexican Mike and the guys who made Lifeline. Yeah, that's how I came in. That's why I said one time about the image. I already had an image, but I was trying to take it to the next level. You know what I mean?
And you knew somewhere deep inside of you that
I was going to do it regardless. Yeah,
okay.
I was going to do it regardless, man. I already knew that I had my mind set. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so I was focused on doing that. And plus, I was doing so much practice and so much reading and so much looking for patterns and so much listening to other music that I just felt like any other athlete, if you do that much training, then you're going to be better than, it's going to be hard to beat me. You know what I mean?
The mastery, right? 10,000 hours.
Exactly,
or something like that.
yeah.
Something's going to give, right?
Exactly. So I took a lot of time doing that, reading books, just capturing feelings, remembering things, and trying to lock them into places where when I hear a beat that's sad or happy or turned up, I can take myself back to that emotion and remember how I felt and then give you exactly how I felt. Which been a gift and a curse, man. Sometimes I have to go through it before I can say it. So my life is taking longer for me to get to that point because I can't lie about some situations. I got to go through divorce. I got to go through drug habits. I got to actually go through them before I can tell you about it. Some artists can just make things up without having to physically go through them.
Okay.
And it's kind of been like.
I would love to expand on that here in a second, but before that, why reading specifically? What did it kind of do to you whenever you were reading?
I just love the way reading can make you a picture appear in your mind without seeing the picture. The right description, the right words, the right vocabulary can make a picture appear in your mind. And I love the way that made me escape from where I was at.
Do you think that helped you whenever you were writing your music? I don't know if you write or punched in, but if you did, is that kind of sort of what you wanted to do whenever you were writing?
I would make a description. I would try to be as much, maybe the whole song wasn't descriptive, but if I can just describe something in a way that wasn't normally described, more personal way that you had to like actually live through it. And if you did live through it and I described it in that fashion, and then it'd be like, oh, this guy, it would resonate a little deeper.
Right.
You know what I mean? Versus me saying something that's more generic, trying to get everybody to like it. I kind of focus more on, well, if you've been here, then you understand what I'm saying. And apparently in my hood, everybody had been there, so it got really popular really quick, you know.
So I know you talked about it a few times that you really have to live through. You can't get yourself to say something that you didn't do or whatever. Why is that important to you? Why that integrity of just even on the track? You have to be honest.
I don't even know if it's integrity, man. I think if I was to be able to make up something, I would do it. You know what I mean? If I can make up an emotion, I just can't describe it as well as I could describe it if I went through it. If I went through it, then I remember how it made me feel. I remember how it made the people around me feel. I remember the words that came to mind while it was happening. Then I lock those in. And when I find a beat that matches that emotion, I just let them out on that beat. And then it makes people feel it more. You know what I mean? Versus me telling you about something. I may not be able to have that one or two words that convinces you that I was there. If I make it up, you know.
Is that part of your creative process as far as when you're in the studio, you kind of, do you...
Emotion? I write my beats on emotion, yeah. That's why it's hard for me to find beats. I'm notorious for...
Let me have you bring it up just a little bit.
I'm notorious for having go through packages of beats without picking a beat. Because I don't know how I feel.
Have you found a producer that you can describe them what you kind of want to
Yeah, I got
deliver?
two producers. My favorite producer is Risky Boy. Shout out to Risky Boy. You know what I mean? We've been working for a long time. He kind of understands what I'm doing, and he'll create a beat to the point where I can rap to it and then stop, let me get my emotion out, and then if he wants to add anything, he does it after I rap, which is a big thing for me. One noise can mess up my emotion. You know what I mean? So, and plus I think like I have a homeboy named Lazy Boy. Shout out to Lazy Boy. He does the same thing. He sends a lot of beats. Just if I think my producer, if the producers think that I'm dope and I think that they're dope, then we work together. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so that's what happens with Risky and Lazy Boy. They kind of got my sound. They kind of Risky I've been dealing with for a long time. You know what I mean? Long time.
Is there any, in addition to the emotion, is there anything else that you tried, and of course, maybe painted a picture, is there anything else that you want to get whenever you're doing the song as far as the listener having something that they pick up from it?
Yeah, I guess I just like to leave each album, each project is like a timeline. So it just gives you a point of where I'm at in my life. If you go back and look at my music, my catalog of music, you could tell when I was going through whatever, when I was happy, when I was sad, by listening to my projects. So it just gives you an insight on who I am. You know what I mean? I don't know how to if I knew the recipe on how to make this hit after hit after hit, I would do it. But most of the time I'm just trying to resonate to people who think I'm dope, who like my situation. I'm just like a lot of people. I just read more books maybe or have a different way to express it. But I think that's my key thing, just being able to be relatable with my music. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Of course, everybody wants at least one hit, right? Even if it's
right?
Yeah.
I definitely would like to have a hit, but I think if you try to write a hit, you'll never get it. For me, anyways.
Gotcha.
I'm focusing too hard. And I think people like me when I'm just being myself. That's what catapulted me in front of people. I'm cool being myself, and then when you're trying too hard, it just comes off wrong. You know what I mean? So,
yeah. Okay, so let's backtrack a little bit. Did you ever think writing your telephone number on it, someone is actually going to find you, pull up to your house?
I mean, that was the intention. I didn't think it was going to happen that way, but I thought, yeah, you know, I wanted people to at least locate me, at least find me. I mean, I didn't even know if I was going to be able to keep my fucking phone on that month. You know what I mean? I just wrote my number on it to see what I couldn't afford to put a picture on it or do anything.
Right.
So I was like, how can they find me? And then I went into a sports bar. It just so happened one of the DJs, and I guess he was in the hood. He knew people I knew. Got my CD one day, and I was in there, and they were playing it. They were playing my song. And
how does that feel?
It was great. It was amazing. Yeah, it made me. That's kind of pumped me up. And I was like, all right, well, nobody else in here's songs playing, just mine. So I need to give them more music. You know what I mean? I need to just be that guy. If everybody can freestyle, but everybody is not getting played in here. You know what I mean? So I started trying to cater to that. You know what I mean? And that's what I meant by like another level. Everybody was rapping at the time in my hood, but nobody was taking that next. Who was going to be the one that gets played on these sports bars and these clubs? Because we knew all the DJs. It was just who was going to be the next one. So I was like, I wanted to be that. You know what I mean? So I pushed myself to try to get
Was it difficult for you to structure a song? Do you have a way that you like to structure the song, or did it came pretty natural to you? Because you used to kind of sort of like freestyling, right?
Yeah, I mean, I freestyle. I think structuring a song is the simpler the song could be structured is the better. Mm-hmm. The more you get into it, the more you can over rap things.
Yeah.
And at a certain point, maybe I was trying to show everybody that I could rap, and then there comes a point where, okay, we know that you can rap now. Make a song now, make a jam. You know what I mean? That's kind of where I was at. So
that's kind of after doing a lot of
exactly mixtapes were for that, proving that I could rap. Now that I got your ear, now come listen to some of these hooks. Mm-hmm. Can I do the same thing but have more structure to it? And that it's been a you know, I think the wave of it goes. Sometimes you can have a song that's structured right, but then some songs are songs that are unstructured resonate a little better. They got a little rawness to them, and I just been so lucky to be able to sometimes touch on both. You know what I mean? I touch on some rawness, touch on some good stuff, and they ain't been a major hit yet, but I've been doing it for a long time. Where I feel like sometimes I had a hit. I go through my hood and people deal with me really strong. You know what I mean? I could go anywhere I want, and so it feels like that at times. So.
Just like DMX and some things that he showed you as far as his music, kind of for you, is there anybody that you run into that kind of sort of tell you, hey, bro, this song right here did this to me, or this song right here made me feel this, or this song right here I be jamming? Anything
like my fans, people that I've run into? Oh, yeah, man, tons of people. It's kind of what kept me going at first, because I had I would say a lot of personal things about my father, about my relationship, about things that I didn't realize were like everyday things for people in my hood. And then not even just my hood, just all over the world, people were like, they go through divorce, they have drug addictions, people fall off. I was speaking about the natural things that happen, and there was times where people would come and say, you know, this song helped me get through this, man. This was the realest thing I ever wrote, or this was tight. You know what I mean? I had a guy one time, man, that he was doing this. He passed away, actually. You know what I mean? He was going through a surgery. It was like a 50-50 chance he was going to get out. And my album was dropping. And he worked at a barbecue place. And I pulled up on him because his sister hit me up. And she was like, man, he's a big fan. I pulled up, ordered some food. He didn't know I was at the window. You know what I mean? When he came to the window, hey, man, what's up? How you doing? I gave him my CD, signed it for him. And it turned out like that was the last thing he listened to before he passed away. He jammed it before he went to surgery, and then he didn't make it out of the surgery. So it was things like that was like, wow, man, like I would have listened to Tupac. He decided to listen to me, you know what I mean? And so that made a big impact on me, like, okay, well, maybe I'm touching people in a longer distance than I even realized, you know what I mean? So yeah.
How did you feel knowing that you were the last thing that he listened to?
I was proud. At some point, you know, I felt a lot of respect for it, and then there was times where I felt like maybe I should have how didn't I know there was a fan that big in my city? You know what I mean? Like maybe I need to get more in touch with the people who are jamming me, because they might be going through some stuff like this, and maybe I made him have a little courage to go into his surgery just because I gave him a CD and was talking to him. I have no idea, you know what I mean? But sometimes a conversation can change things, especially from people you like, you know what I mean?
Absolutely. Did it give you like a sense of responsibility at that time of the products you were putting out?
Yeah, responsibility for sure. It kind of made me think about like what message I was giving out, what I was saying.
Mm-hmm.
But I had already said so much stuff. There was things like I wouldn't let my son listen to my music when I was younger.
Yeah.
Because the message I was giving out was not, I wasn't thinking about the future. I was just thinking about what I'm going through, how can I express it?
Do you feel like that was just your journey at that time? And
that was my journey.
Growth process?
Yeah, that was my journey. And then in my hood, there was a lot of like, we have Richmond and Rosenberg. It's like a really close town,
mm-hmm.
but they gangbanged a lot.
In the 90s?
Yes. So Richmond and Rosenberg used to be against each other all the time.
Mm.
But we only were separated by like an underpass. There wasn't even
Wow.
nothing to stop us from going, but it was just like a thing. For some reason, maybe because I was spitting all that real stuff and I was touching home and saying Rosenberg names and streets and like really applying pressure to my hood, that they stopped fighting and they came together. So Rosenberg and Richmond would come with me to shows. We would show up 60 deep, 50, 60 deep, when artists before, they would fight when that many of us got together. They'd be fighting each other, you know what I mean? And I guess that helped me a lot. People would come together, Richmond and Rosenberg. Now we were like a clique. We're going to go represent. We Richmond and Rosenberg. It was Twin City thing now. It was like a combined thing now. It wasn't like separated no more.
Any of that intentional when you was doing it? Or you just happened to be the people who were connected?
I just
with
knew
the
so
music?
many people, man. I just knew people from Rosenberg and Richmond. They knew me. They know my family. They knew everywhere from Rosenberg. If you lived in Rosenberg and Richmond, really from there, you've never stayed in just Rosenberg or just Richmond. You got family in Richmond or family in Rosenberg or vice versa. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I just knew so many people that when I started doing it, they were like, oh, yeah, we know this guy. We know his family. We know his cousins. He's a good dude. And they just came together. You know what I mean?
I remember one of the podcasts you're talking about that you were getting recognized and you couldn't go to places with somebody trying to talk to you and everything. But at the moment of time, you wanted to be alone. How did you maneuver through that part as far as like you're going through some stuff people don't really know? They just see you and they want to approach you because they know you. You're getting known by the music.
Yeah, well, I mean, you got to be able to kind of understand that these people don't know exactly what you're going through.
Mm.
They just want to interact with you. You know what I mean? So you can't take everything out on them. And then you got to have a way to free your mind from all. I love to fish. You know what I mean? So
cool.
When I would go through things like that, I would go to the beach and I'd just be by myself, and I would give me a time to calm my emotions and make a good decision off of what I was doing. You know what I mean?
With mental health and all those conversations happening now, and for you yourself, you think that's kind of therapeutic? Also music?
Oh, yeah. Music was a way that I didn't have to keep anything bottled up. So it wasn't like anytime I had an emotion, I just put it on a beat.
Mm-hmm.
And so I didn't keep things bottled up where it just erupted into an angry situation or somebody ticked me off and then I would just explode. You know, I was really calm because everything I was bothering me, I can just say it on the beat. And then I was so lucky that maybe you were going through it, so you would even like what I was saying. So now it was like the negative wasn't so negative no more. You know what I mean?
It's like a lesson learned at that time.
Yeah, I just tell you what I was going through, and some people were like, yeah, we did the same thing. We just went through that. And that was tight, you know what I mean? It was worth getting my message out. They helped me get my message out, my hood. Accepting my message, you know what I mean, was really helpful.
Did you realize how big of your project, your first project, remind me the one, the mixtape with
Speaking
all
to
the
the Streets,
Speak to the Streets. You had Big Hawk. You had
Sino, Kiki, ESG, yeah.
Did you kind of sort of realize how big it was for you? Because some of those you were already listening to
Oh,
before.
man, yes. That personally was like I didn't even, at the time when it was happening, I didn't even have to do nothing else rap. I had already like reached my milestones. I didn't have a future where I was thinking I was going to rap with Nas or rap with Tupac. I just wanted to rap with the biggest artists in Houston.
Wow.
You know what I mean? That was my goal. Let me get from this country town in Rosenberg to where these guys noticed me. And then when I started doing features with them and doing the songs with them, that I didn't realize how many people felt the same way I did in my hood. Well, now they see a guy that they went to school with, and I'm on the songs that we all jam. I'm on with the guys that they're jamming. So now that made me like, oh, he's serious. He's not. He's an artist now. He's with Kiki and them. He's doing these songs. He's doing these big songs, and that was a big thing for me. You know,
was there anybody like you that you saw rapping that gave you inspiration, just like you inspired some of the other guys? Because I know it's real. Even on the podcast, they talk about it. Like, they seen this guy with a Houston jersey on that looked just like me and kind of sort of gave me like, oh, I can do it too.
Well, I guess I didn't know a lot of Hispanic artists at the time. I didn't, SPM was really jumping at that time. And his rhyme was really, he was first Mexican I heard that was like, had a lot of rhyme play. He had a lot of word play with a lot of rhymes, words rhymed and shit like that. So that was somebody that I first was like, but he didn't really inspire me as far as like my style was totally different. But then when I came to Houston and I linked up with like GT Garza, then I realized that there was other Mexicans who could spit like me. I thought I was the only one at the time in my hood because I was murking everybody. But then when I got to Houston, then I realized, okay, there's other guys that could spit like this. And that inspired me more too. I was really competitive, you know what I mean? So
was there any humbling experience that you already knew you had everybody and was pretty much? Well, can you take me to that?
Numerous times that I've been where I've been the best rapper in the room in my hood, numerous times. So it wasn't like I was getting any better. I was just stunting on everybody because I knew I was the best. And then when I would get with my friends like Felony, shout out GT Garza. I would get with these guys and notice that they had a more advanced wordplay. They maybe not as much maybe not more words, but the words they were using were things that I didn't know. They did other things that we weren't doing in the country. They were in Houston. They had access to everything. I wasn't like that. I had dropped 30 minutes to get to the mall. They going right there. So the words they had were different. And once I started picking up, okay, well, if I do different things, I'll learn different words that I've never said before. The more experience I get, the more words I learn. Yeah. Might get him saying something, and that was humbling. I don't know all the words. Even if they're reading a thesaurus, there's other words that... Yeah, so then those guys were using them. And then so that made me say, okay, I got to settle down and try to really focus my talent and compete. You know what I mean? So... Yeah, but with those guys, definitely elevated my game. Well,
do you remember your very first show ever that you did?
Where
was it at?
My very first show was at the Sports Resort. It was like off of Murphy Road, I think.
Was it like the whole deal, the stage and everything, or was it just...
Everything, man. It was the biggest show I've done, probably up to date, man. I had never rapped before, and I don't even know how it got so big, man. I had been putting my album together, had everybody on it, SUC. I spread the word out. We were going to be there. I practiced for like a month. I have never rapped on the mic prior to doing that.
Wow.
And then we got to the show, and it was just sold out. It was just packed house, bro. You couldn't even move. I had David Banner was there, ESG, C-Note. It was a lot of people that I didn't expect. Street Military, it was people that just showed up because the party was so junk. They might not even known it was for me, but it was just such a great crowd and such a great event that was happening. They showed up, and then I ended up doing my whole entire album. I did like 16 songs that night. You know
really?
What I mean? The whole album.
Wow.
First time I ever got on the mic and I had to do the whole album. I was nervous as hell. But as soon as I started rapping and I could see all my friends and everybody that I knew, and then I had practiced so much, I knew I was ready. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it just was easy. It was just easy.
So you already had your timing, your wind, everything was good to go?
And my wind had always been there. I never punched in. So every song I ever did was a one-take song. So I learned the words by doing that. So then practicing those songs like that, I didn't realize how much advance of practice I had. You know what I mean? Just learning, learning where to breathe so I didn't run out. That's a practice. You know what I mean? You got to practice doing stuff like that too. So,
what about crowd control and learning how to maneuver
the crowd? I think the crowd does what they want, but I think you can find. I think they kind of feed off of you as well. Your energy. If you just up there, just like you ain't even putting no effort in, you can tell. You know what I mean? And if I'm performing, people come to see you sweat, man. Give them a little something. Give them a little performance on them. And then learn the words. I come from an era where I know every single one of my words when I perform. I don't do that couple words and then walk around looking, then couple words and then walk around. I don't do that, man. I say every single word.
I mean, again, to each their own, but doesn't that feel disrespectful when somebody's paying a ticket to see you, watch you do your thing?
Yeah, that's kind of the
At
thing.
least for me, it feels like it. You know what I mean?
I mean, it feels like you didn't try hard enough.
Yeah.
And that's I come from just trying. You know what I mean? There's so many people who could get up there with you. You got to be able to at least try. You know what I mean? Yeah, exactly. So.
Okay, so whenever you're there, was there the Michael Jackson, the DMX, was there any other stuff that you kind of sort of learned from them that kind of sort of you wanted to try it out and do, or not necessarily?
I could never dance like Mike. I could never do anything like that. And DMX was like a real gangster. I got into like pit bulls and things like that because I was following that kind of persona.
You learn how to hold them, right?
Learn how to hold them. And I was breeding blue pit bulls at one time. And like DMX had a big impact at one time on me. But I never had no, he was kind of wild. So I was watching him make mistakes, then hoping that if I was in that situation, I'd be able to remember something and say, okay, this lasted longer. He might have said this in an interview and didn't think it was going to last that long, but the effect lasted way longer.
Right.
And so I started realizing that along the way, just watching interviews with him, watching different people.
Yeah. So once you do that show, after that, where did your career transition after that? Because this is what, your whole album, a lot of people there witnessing what you're doing.
In my hood, it was great. Everybody just knew I was legit. So, people would come to the neighborhood and see me. They knew who I was. I was like a rapper now, you know what I mean? So they came, paid money to see me. I was a paid rapper. I was making money now. It wasn't just passing out free CDs.
Yeah.
I was actually selling records, and that made a big impact on my hood because they were like, yeah, he's the one that's basically telling my hood story. You know what I mean? And there was a lot of people in my hood that felt like we just wanted the whole rest of our world to hear our story. Pretty sure there's a lot of towns like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But for us, I just became the voice of it. And after that show, it was like a big thing. Everybody knew I was legit and I was serious about what I was doing.
Yeah. So moving forward, the label that you were on, unfortunately, things that happened didn't work out anymore because of things that happened. Because you can check out the other interviews of what really happened. People got cases and stuff like that.
Yes, sir.
You're still trying to keep doing it by yourself, right? But there's really, the funding.
There was no support, and the funding was kind of falling off. But then I just had to resort back to talent. I knew that if I could just get a little bit, I may not be able to do all the things on the level I was doing with my team, but if I can just get a little bit of that out, if I can get 60% of that out, maybe it wouldn't be the best funded video, but as long as I had a video. It may not be the best feature, but as long as I had a feature. It may not be the best mix, but as long as I had a mix. If I could just keep getting 60% of what I was doing with my talent, I felt like I could do it on my own. You know what I mean? I could sustain myself.
Were you learning the business at all whatsoever as far as, or not?
Yeah, the business was a
talent?
Big thing. The transition of hand-to-hand music, being able to sell a CD directly to you and getting $10 for a $10 CD, not having to pay nobody to put it on platforms and all that was a big transition because that's why people more people seem to dig me when they meet me versus online. You just hear my music, you don't even think I'm Hispanic. A lot of people didn't even know I was Hispanic when I was rapping. They thought I was a black guy. Yeah, they thought I would talk. They thought I was a black guy from Houston. And then they see me and they oh, he's Mexican. You know what I mean? And then they would like me a little bit more. Oh, he does this. They like me a little bit more. And they had to see me more. So when I was in the hood, hand-to-hand CDs was perfect for me. You get to meet me. I get to show you. You see where I'm at. You see that I'm not lying about what I'm saying, what I'm rapping about. You see all my people. And it just kind of like transcended into something bigger. And that switching over to just being on social media platforms, having to be social online, and that was a big switch for me, business-wise anyways.
Yeah, from MySpace to Facebook to all all changes.
There's just so many platforms, you know what I mean? And I don't keep up with them all. I just don't have enough time to keep up with them all.
Yeah.
I try to keep up with where I got the most following at, I guess.
Yeah, so there's too much.
Yeah.
Remind me again, because I was telling you before we started recording that the first time I ran into who you were was the Houston Mic Pass.
Yes.
And you were telling me a little bit about how that came about. Can you share that story?
Yeah, we used to be at this studio called the Fire Factory with Sapphire, who was a producer at the time. It belonged to a guy named Buddha. Sticky Green was the actual label they had. They had a studio, you know what I mean? And they kind of just allowed us to go in there and have like a free-for-all music. So we just did so much music inside of there.
Wow.
Artists would come in there, Chingo Bling, and then just numerous artists, Flatline, Coast. Everybody was just coming through and dropping verses and leaving. That Boy T was in there, and he just had an idea like, let's do a cipher. I think he may have seen it somewhere. You know what I mean? Pepsi.
I think we talked about the Pepsi Cypher,
Pepsi Cypher, something like that, which had Power Wild, Chameleon, all these big name artists on it. So he just wanted to do something for us. And I don't even know.
The Latinos?
Specifically the Latinos and Hispanics and the rappers that were in the studio at the time. Mm-hmm. And he had a couple guys that would come in that he knew. And I don't even know if he thought it would be what it turned out to be, but yeah, it was That Boy T, to my knowledge, that have kind of put it together, recorded us, you know, kind of planned it out, had it laid out. Then him and Lucky mixed up together, and then, you know, they ended up putting it together. So it was a good look for me. Yeah, it was a good look for me.
Don't get me wrong, I like the Dallas one, but the Houston, to me, I like it. I like it a little. My bad, Dallas, but I like it a little more.
Yeah.
Just the way it came out, the hood coast, just the way what he was talking about. Like, I never be president, but I don't give a damn. That just,
exactly.
I don't know, it hit.
Yeah, it was tight. It was tight.
Yeah. Okay, so you take a break from music for a little bit because, you know, you have kids, you have a family, you're trying to do the parent thing, but it's just, I guess it's not fit into with the things that you need to do anymore for the music.
No, I think I was just kind of like taking a lot of time away from the things that were more important. You know, I guess I kind of figured out, like, I'm good at music, but my children, my sons and my daughters, I was trying to just be there a little bit more for them. You know, I felt selfish, basically. I have kids now, but I'm still chasing my dreams. But then at some point I started realizing I was kind of like an example to my kids. Like, never stop chasing your dreams. You know what I mean? No matter how many people tell you can't do it, there's a way. It's just harder, but there's a way to do it if you really want to. You know what I mean? So it became a statement. So that I was like, nah, I can't quit. You know what I mean?
Is that one of the reasons why music drew you back as far as having to continue to chase your dream?
Yeah, to one point, and then just hearing music, man, I just felt like I wasn't done. You know, I had a lot more things, and then I would hear the people who are considered good now, and then I was like, man, I'm better than that, bro. Like, I can rap better than that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So then I just wanted to, the competitive spirit, I just wanted to compete again, just get the recognition again. It made me feel confident, made me feel like who I wanted to be. Yeah, you know, when I'm rapping and that's who I am. You know what I mean? So it brought me back to where I wanted to be at. You know, so
yeah. You had talked about, and this is a very sensitive subject in regards to just the whole situation, because I've dealt with some of that in my family in general, addiction.
Yes.
Was that during the time also that you were struggling with that?
Yes.
And how was it that you were able to, because people don't understand the psyche behind somebody that is going through that, right? People make it seem like it's easy to just say, why can't you just stop? But it's just not that. Like, it's not that simple sometimes,
right?
No,
it's not a choice, man. I think addiction is like, people think you didn't love us enough or you would have stopped. You didn't love us enough to stop. But it's not a choice. I think it's more like a disease. Right. Is what they tell us. You know what I mean? It's kind of like you don't really understand what you're doing. And then some of the people you love, on hindsight, you realize, damn, like, I was really doing those people bad and I really cared about them so much. So that alone, I don't think people understand that part of it. Like, how somebody can do people they love so much in a fashion that they're like, wow, he doesn't care about us.
But it's not with that intention.
It's not with that intention. Nah, it's just the drug itself. It's just the addiction. You know, it takes over you, and then you don't kind of think about it. It becomes the first thing you think about. And when that's the first thing prior to your kids or prior to your health or prior to your relationships,
eating everything,
then those things start to fall off because you're not spending enough time focused on those first. You know what I mean?
Right.
So that was what I was kind of going through with my children. You know, and with my father, I had a thing with my dad where he was an addict, and it put me through the same thing, but I didn't really understand that until I got my own addiction. Then when I got my own addiction, then I realized, oh, well, you could really, really love somebody to death, and your actions can make it seem like you don't care about them.
Right.
You know what I mean? And that can be hard for a child or somebody to recollect. Like, no, you did this. How you don't care about it. But so that made a big issue for me trying to keep my relationship with my kids while I was going through that. Just letting them know that I cared about them no matter what. So that was like my focus at the time. I wasn't worried about music at all. I was just trying to make sure that I didn't lose myself and lose my kids' relationship.
Was there a rock bottom, or where did you gather the strength to be able to either seek help or, just on your own will stop?
I think you just got to kind of be fed up. You got to personally just really, really want to not be it. And then you got to have people that have been through the situation with you. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So, like, I went to AA. AA was like my savior, bro. Like, it helped me out. I loved AA because it was a place to be in a room with people who had went through worse things than I've been. I was on when you look at addiction, I was like at the very beginning steps, and I felt like my life was over. Mm-hmm. When I went into AA, and then I realized there was really rock bottom. There was really lower than I was. And I was in a good position to get myself out of it. Mm-hmm. If I wouldn't have heard those stories, then I would have never had the confidence to say, hey, there is light. I'm not that far from the light. You know what I mean? I thought I was at the bottom, but I wasn't. I was really still at the top. Hearing those stories, going to AA, being around men that had went through it, being able to show my emotions without being worried about how you felt.
Right.
Without
being judged, right?
Crying in front of people that I didn't even know about situations, but they've been through it. So they knew where I was at. They were able to talk to me. And then at a certain point, I was like a motivation for them because I got out of it really quick. I wasn't as deep as I thought. Then when I started leading AA classes. I started coming to class to tell the topic, what we want to talk about. And it was good. I participated in it. I really wholeheartedly participated in it. And that got me out of feeling where I felt like doing the drugs and doing those things. And then man, after that, the sky was the limit. The best thing about that was that I never had a withdrawal. When I was ready to get off of it, it was gone.
Congratulations.
You know what I mean? I just went and talked one day.
Yeah.
And I never had that feeling no more to do it. And then that's how I knew I was done. That's how I knew it was like.
From the bottom of my heart, bro. Congratulations.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, man. I'm proud of myself. That's one of my biggest accomplishments.
I'm proud of you, and I don't even know you like that, mm-hmm. to know that you were able to get to that place where you're literally say, I'm good.
Yeah, and I had to go. I turned myself in, man. I had committed and built up some crimes while I was being an addict, and I just decided I was tired of running from everything. Mm-hmm. I needed to go turn myself in. I went on November 11th. I turned myself in before the actual holidays, family holidays. I was really going through it, and I was just like, man, I need to do this. And then once I turned myself in, it's kind of like the best place for me to be because I didn't know I was going to go through a divorce and all this stuff and happen at the same time. Mm-hmm. And the fact that I was able to be in a place where I didn't have to worry about bills. I couldn't worry about them. Mm-hmm. I can't take care of my children from in jail. I can't pay the bills for me. I couldn't do anything but focus on Alex. And that was a perfect time for me to lose my addiction. You know what I mean? Because I had to source everything inwards and be like, why am I like that? Stop blaming people for my addiction, start realizing what I was responsible for, fix those things, and then everything was just downhill after that. You know what I mean?
Do you think that's the biggest thing that you took from being there, just accountability for yourself at that
accountability time? And just knowing that when my mind was clear that I was still making the right decisions. You know what I mean? I wasn't so far gone that I didn't know right from wrong. I knew I didn't want to be there. I knew that the people around me, I didn't want to be like that. And there's some guys you get in there where they're just comfortable and they just live like, I'll just come back again. It's nothing. I knew that, this ain't for me. And where I was headed, that was going to be my reality if I kept doing that. You know what I mean? So I was like, nah. And it just settled in one day, and I was just like, nah, man, I'm not going to do this anymore. You know what I mean?
Is there a particular song that you have that kind of touches the topics about that, or you haven't got one out yet? Since you already kind of
not
sort
that
of
I've wrote, and I think I have an album called Funeral of a Soldier that nobody really listened to. It's on YouTube, though. You can find it, Funeral of a Soldier by Bunz. It was the album I wrote in the months before I turned myself in. So I was still addicted, and I was still going through everything. I wasn't living with my family. I was at my brother's house. I was doing all the shit that an addict leads up to before they got to go turn themselves in.
Right.
I was still doing that. And those songs were like, I didn't want to do that anymore. But it was the only way I could express myself before. I had to say it first, then I physically turned myself in and did it.
Do you think it was the surrendering point at that time?
Yes, it was exactly just me surrendering, you know what I mean? Just saying. Like, and then when I went to jail, like I said, I was, I had a bunch of anger for some reason. I was blaming everybody. Then I went to jail and just one day, man, January 1st, I just asked the Lord to be like, just take away whatever is keeping me in this position. Just take away what's keeping me back. And then exactly what he did. You know, he just took away that urge. I didn't even have an urge. Like I said, I didn't have a withdrawal. The next day, you know, I had been denied for AA, for church, for parenting classes because my record was so extensive. They didn't let me go to those classes. The next day, all 3 of those classes accepted me. You know what I mean? So it was like right after I had surrendered to the Lord and told him, like, you know, I might not go to church every day, but I need to let go of the will.
Right.
Let you help me do what I have to do. Then right after that, everything just started opening. Every door started opening. And then I realized, like, okay, maybe I just wasn't positioning myself for the blessings that were waiting for me to come. I just wasn't in the right position to get them. You know what I mean?
Awesome.
Yeah.
And then we fast forward and you reunite because all y'all know each other. Coast, GT Garza, y'all been around.
Oh, man, I wouldn't even have been able to stay relevant if it wasn't for GT. You know, GT was a guy who I recorded tons of music with prior to. So I was going through my shit and I was out of the way and I wasn't even like nowhere to be found. You couldn't even locate me to do music. He was putting me out on his features. He was still putting me out on his music. He was still keeping me relevant to and then plus, you know, my skill was enough to jump ahead of people. Anytime you heard me, I was jumping ahead of artists that were being consistent. And Garza was so consistent that it seemed like I was consistent. You know what I mean?
Wow.
So, yeah, so it really helped me out. You know, it really helped me out during that. I was able to get out and knowing that I was still part of a crew that was so active, it just catapulted me back to the front. Now I skipped a lot of people.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Taking that time out.
And then did y'all originally, are y'all technically a label per se with La Maquina or is
Yeah,
it
La Maquina is
or?
a label. It's a label with Garza's label. You know, I think he started it maybe in 02 or something like 01, something like that. It was The Machine at first.
The Machine,
kind of switched over to La Maquina. Yeah, so that's been the label that I transitioned from Lifeline, which was my own label with Mexican Mike and that T-Man, Troy Reese. We were the ones who started that. And then when I got with him, that's all it became was The Machine, La Maquina. I kind of just like you said, at that time, my guys had went away doing their time, and I was by myself, and I needed a group to motivate me to push. And then I met those guys. Garza had everything moving. He was so active. I learned a lot from those guys, rhyme-wise and business-wise, and then we just linked up, you know what I mean?
I like the way that y'all play with how competitive y'all are, but still super respectful for each other, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think that goes a long way too, man. I think that I think if there was guys that I thought, I mean, no disrespect to anybody I know that raps, you know what I mean? I'm not saying anything like that. There's tons of people that go hard, man. Shout out Doe Man go hard, you know, but even, those guys were a little bit younger when we were doing our thing. They came up right under us. And being the fact that I thought Garza, Felony, Coast were kind of like the best competition that I could find, that made it fun. And then like we ended up turning out to be friends. We ended up turning out to be really cool. We had a lot of things in common, so that kind of made it like, all right, you don't always win. Sometimes I win on a song, and sometimes he wins.
But I'll be back with the rebound,
and
though.
and that made it fun. You know what I mean? So that made it like we don't know who's gonna win. The fact that anybody can win this made it not so like an angry competition. It made it a friendly competition.
That's
you know
cool.
what I mean? Yeah. So
Because I think hip hop was about that at one time.
exactly,
another,
that's
right?
all it was about.
It was about that. We're running short on time, but before I let you go, was there any questions that you had in mind that you're like, man, I wish he asked me about this, or I wish we touch up on this? Is there anything in mind?
No, I just want everybody to know that, you know, my album is dropping tomorrow, which is Undisputed, which is like a combination of emotions more than songs. I just feel like I'm undisputed. I really feel like that. You know what I mean? So
Gotcha.
there's times where I really feel undisputed. I really feel when people are making their rap list, I'm not on it, but I should be. Maybe I'm not consistent enough to be on it.
Mm-hmm.
That's what keeps me out. But not talent alone, not rap alone. That shouldn't keep me out as far as that. My consistency, I can see, keeps me off a list. But the fact that I feel like I should be on it makes me want to go harder. Makes me want to make this list.
So tomorrow, Undisputed drops on all digital platforms.
On all digital platforms. I haven't dropped an actual project myself in maybe like 4 years. I've been on a lot of other people's stuff, a lot of mixtapes, but this is actually an actual album produced and dropped by myself. A lot of Risky Boy, a lot of Lazy Boy beats. La Maquina representing it. We're doing the show tomorrow too in Arlington. Eventbrite, you can look it up. Get to GT Garza tour. Get the tickets to that. But it's more just me just coming back out and saying like, this is where I'm supposed to be at, and if you're not on my level, then I'm just gonna just roll over where I'm at. Like, I'm tired of competing at a level that I'm not supposed to be at. So I feel like I'm underrated. Exactly. Gotcha. Where people talk about me, everything I've done, how long as I've been in the game, you know, I feel like sometimes like Kobe Bryant when they skip him in the Michael Jordan, LeBron GOAT mix. Hey, man, I'm here too. Where I've been murking people for a long time too. You know what I mean? So that's just all Undisputed is about.
Any other surprises, features they were expecting on this particular project?
Nah, I kind of kept my features really low to my personal group. Mm-hmm. I know who I kind of sound right with. So Felony and Risky Boy on some hooks were probably the only features that I have on there. I didn't really reach out to nobody for any features this time. I wanted to keep it more just in-house kind of for our sound. I got a lot of features from other people, but they just didn't fit the underrated title. I wanted just to be a lot of me and the guys that felt like I was underrated. I let them get on the album as well. You know what I mean? They helped me feel underrated. Not help me feel underrated, but they made me feel that concept like, yeah, you are underrated, bro. You should do this. You should go hard on this. And they made me feel that way. You know what I mean? So I got them on tracks.
So one more time, a real quick drop. Where can they find it again? What's it called? And what are they expecting?
Undisputed, man. Drops August 2nd. You can get it on all streaming platforms. You can get it on Apple Music, Diesel, Apple Play, whatever it is. All streaming platforms, you know what I mean? It's going to be on there. Make sure you go get it. I got videos out right now. I got an Undisputed intro video out on my Instagram, Bunz1000. I'm dropping another video to the interlude this weekend. And I'm just super excited, man. Y'all go get it. If y'all like lyrics, y'all like bars, y'all like wordplay, this is the album to go check out, man. Underrated. Bunz. It drops August 2nd.
All right. I'll make sure we put all the information on the YouTube description,
yes,
including your social media and everything. You're actually here for a couple of shows.
Yes. I'm doing a show tomorrow in Arlington with GT. And then I have a couple videos I'm doing out here with some guys that purchase features. Then I think tonight we're going to go check out that Rich Reedy show. He has a concert out here. Yeah, I think we're going to go ahead and just turn up out there, man.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, just Tequila, show a little love. Yeah, Tequila, exactly. We're going to show up. Shout out to Accomplice, put me on. And shout out to Accomplice because he got me on an intro for the radio here. I think it's the big station or whatever they call it.
K104.
Yeah, K104. He gave me an intro for it, let me do it, played it on the radio and stuff like that. So it was a good look. Dallas been really looking out for me, you know what I mean?
Accomplice is as well connected. Man, he's a great guy. He's been on my podcast a few times.
Yeah.
I've been knowing him forever in the day, bro, and I'm very proud of the dude.
He's doing amazing stuff. He's a good friend of mine.
Yep, that's awesome. Okay, so any other project, anything else you have going on with La Maquina, yourself here in the near future? You have you've been touring with Chingo, right?
Yeah, actually, I did. I've been on a couple tours. We did a couple improvs. We did Corpus. We did Arlington Improv. We did Houston Improv. We did a couple things. So I've been on a tour with him, small tour here and there when he has dates with it, which has been a great blessing for me because it gets me in front of a different crowd. And it's super easy to rap in front of a comedy crowd. They're already having a good time. You know what I mean? By the time the end of the show comes, I can't go wrong.
How did that connection come about?
Man, I've been knowing Chingo for a long time.
We've never done the traileros or whatever the name was.
Man, when he was doing that old stuff, when he was wearing the cowboy hat, doing all that back old stuff, and I was amazed at all his merch that he had at the time. And he would come to the studio. We never did any music. You know, we never did no music. I would see him in there.
You have
and
a
just,
song recently, don't
yeah,
you?
recently,
Like
yeah. And so just out of nowhere, he reached out to me. I might have reached out to him. Don't know exactly how it went, but he was like, man, I got an artist, put a hook for me on this song. So that's where it started. I did a hook for him. And then I ended up doing a whole verse for him on a song. Then it turned out good. He's like, man, write this other thing for me. I did that. Oh, I got a tour. Get on this with me. And then it just branched out. And I think we work pretty good, man. We have the same kind of personality. We have a lot of things in common that I didn't know. Yeah. So, and I think he's dope. And he seems to think I'm dope. And that kind of like plays off each other. You know what I mean?
So you've been writing a lot more for people as well?
Not so much people, but I've been writing a lot of songs that, like, not for specific artists, but for just in general, a lot of songs that I can kind of try to shop out or sell out. Like, I'm just trying to branch my way of, I'm not just an artist. I don't just rap the songs I do. I write a lot of songs. I do a lot of different stuff that maybe somebody else could like. So I'm just using my creativity as far as I can push it. You know what I mean?
So writing, you still like that? The punching thing, even though people are really into that?
No, I don't punch. I write. Punching is I punch if I mess up on a bar, but everything prior to that was just so flawless. Then I'm like, man, I don't want to erase that. I'll come.
You like
punch.
The one take, huh?
Yeah, but I like to do one take, or I'll specifically have a place to punch. I'll do 8 bars and it's punch there to catch a breath, but I won't do that 2 bars and punch and then 2 bars without writing the bar. Nah, I don't. I'm from a little bit older.
Yeah.
I like the way my pencil looks on the paper still. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Good penmanship you have?
Yeah, I just like the way. Maybe not the penmanship, but just the fact that.
I got a doctor's handwriting, bro.
Yeah, that's not me, man. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, the signature is all sloppy. Yeah, that's how mine is. But the fact that I can still see a open notebook with white paper and a pencil, and it gets me excited.
That's cool.
That's what I like about it. You know what I mean? I scribble and draw little doodles and shit while I'm trying to think of rhymes, and you can't do that when you're punching it.
Yeah, true that.
You know what I mean?
Before I let you go, again, you told me any other event project you got, anything you're working on?
We got tons of projects, man. Y'all just tune in. We got a lot of stuff I'm dropping. Like I said, we have I got an album called Outspoken in Ghetto I'm getting together. I have a project with Garza that we're trying to do. We're trying to do another platoon. We're trying to get the Brown Ball Honor 5 thing going.
Oof, nice.
Yeah, we just got into talks about that. I have 2 projects with my homeboy Felony that are done. We just need to basically build a plan and release it. I got a project with Risco. All these projects, the only one I have titled is Outspoken in Ghetto, because I've been working on that title for a while. But if you just log into my Instagram and you stay tuned in with Maquina and everything I'm going to be flooding the algorithm, flooding the social medias, and trying to just give you everything you can't miss me. You know what I mean? After a while.
Speaking of, what is all your social media? Where can people find you?
Bunz 1000 is where you can find me basically on Instagram. I'm Bunz Perez on Facebook. TikTok, I'm King Ghetto Boy. So y'all make sure y'all follow me on TikTok. I'm trying to get my TikTok followers up, man. So y'all follow me on TikTok a lot. I think that's probably my only social medias that I have that I really are checking every day. Yeah.
Cool. Any shout outs that you have? Saludos to anybody?
You know, shout out to my boys, man. Shout out to the machine. Shout out to my boy PDG. Shout out to Pete. You know, he really helped me put this project together, and a lot of funding that came out of nowhere. You know what I mean? Really helped me out on that. Shout out to Garza. Shout out to Risco Lazy Boy. He put it together. Fellow for the features. And just everybody in general, man, that's rocking with La Maquina. You know, we really appreciate it. We really appreciate everybody stayed down for all the years y'all did, especially me from my inconsistency and just staying down. You know what I mean? We really appreciate that.
It speaks volumes about your talent, you know, how people still will be able to tune in
and
want to be cared to know about you, you know what I mean?
So that's how I see it when I look at the positive side of it.
That's awesome. What is an important lesson that you learned, either rapping or in the music business, that you would tell your younger self that will help somebody else out? What would that be?
Man, we probably just had this conversation. I think sometimes your opinions about things don't actually matter as much. Mm-hmm. Being so opinionated could offend people that might be your fans. You know what I mean? So like, if you cannot say something, just speaking your opinion because you want to speak it, and it doesn't really reflect on your music, you might just hold it in. Everybody doesn't need to know what you're how I feel about religion or how I feel about sports, because then
specifically.
Politics. If I want you to love me as a rapper, they don't need to know all that stuff. I might offend you by saying F a sports team that I just don't like, but you used to like me as a rapper, and then you're like, oh, you don't like this team? There you go.
Just like that.
Just like that. It turns just like that. You know, saying the N word and stuff like that. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Like that's a topic where I say it, but I learned along the way from guys like Garza who don't flood. They don't say it really. That that time of being able to say it may have passed, and if you're gonna offend people, then just better off just not saying it. You know
okay,
what I mean?
Tell me when you made the decision about that, because I heard it and I want to.
Man, I still say it.
No, I'm talking about in the music though. You decided to cut it off in the music, or did you just decide?
Yeah, I tried to, but I think it was more of like not the backlash that people get from it. I think it was more that I'm more creative than using it. I got another vocabulary word for that word. I can fill that spot in with something else. I don't have to say that to describe whatever I'm saying. You know what I mean? And that just kind of like, everybody's saying it. And, well, I'm a little bit more talented than that. I started holding myself a little bit more to a higher standard of vocabulary-wise, just lyrical-wise. So, but, yeah, I have said it a few times. And even in my recent album that, even in Underrated, it may have came out because that's just the way I talk. That's just the way we talk in Houston.
Houston and Texas is like, it's a bad thing, but it's not a bad thing, because if you grew up and all you have is black and brown,
if you live
together, that's like kind of sort of like, you know what I mean?
But when you get out of Houston, it's not the same.
It's not the same.
You offend people.
Yeah, they will take it offensively.
You offend people, and even you don't even offend a lot of. I've been coming across more Hispanics offended by me saying the N-word than actual black guys that'll tell me, hey, man, what are you saying? They kind of understand why I'm saying it. My slang and the way a hood is, they kind of think, okay, he's from there. There's been more Hispanics that were more offended on me saying that. And then I realized, like, okay, well, I've never used it in a derogatory way or to describe a race of people or anything like that, but if I can just avoid that by not saying one word, then that's the smart business move.
And it speaks a lot about your professionalism as far
as
like,
from Garza,
I have more words that I can
I got more words. I got more words to describe a friend or a buddy or a group, like us chilling or whatever. I got more words for that. Brothers, it's just sometimes the feeling of it when I was younger, it's just the way I would talk.
It was an attitude.
It was an attitude. Yeah. It was the way I talked, you know what I mean? I wanted to be heard. I wanted to make a statement, so... That's why I said it a few times.
Usually throughout my day, sometime I tell myself, I'm not immortal. I am mortal, and I will die one day. Not to scare me, terrorize me, or anything like that. It's more of a reality in life, right? Yes. We're finite. We're not here forever. We will go. But that makes me at least hurry up and do things. With that, I wish you a very long, prosperous life. After everything's said and done, what do you want people to think and feel about your life?
Man, I just want people to know that I don't quit. I've been through a lot of stuff. I've been through a lot of issues in my life, a lot of things that maybe the average person would have gave up or went a different route. And, I'm stronger than that. And you can overcome a lot of things in your life by just focusing in and looking inside, looking toward yourself, realizing who you are, you know what I mean? So that one thing about me is I don't give up. You can't count me down even when I'm out, you know what I mean? Even when I'm down, don't count me out.
Absolutely. A lot of us, when we're little, we get this feeling that we were meant for greatness, right? And as we go through life, sometimes it gets pushed down eventually for the world that happens around you and everything, right? I don't know if you had the same feeling when you were little, but what do you think is your calling for you?
My calling, man, I think, and my biggest thing is this. It's a family thing, man. I don't even think it's like a rap thing. I just want to be a great father. You know what I mean? That's kind of like my calling. Like, I just want to be able to, my kids to depend on me. Whatever I go, look up to me. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And when you get old and everybody's gone, you want your kids to love you and show you that respect that you had that a lot of fathers that I've seen don't have. You know what I mean? So that was my big thing. Just keeping a relationship with my kids as I chase my own dreams, because you can get far away from reality chasing your dreams. Right. Having that tie together, they bring me to reality a lot and keep me focused on why I'm actually doing this shit.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate very much your time. Thank you so much. I freaking thoroughly enjoyed the conversation.
Yes,
There was
sir.
a lot of
Yes,
things
sir.
that you gave me also just for me myself to take in. And without a shadow of doubt, Bunz, you definitely are a global Latin factor. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, man. I appreciate you.